Howdy, brothers, sisters, and everyone in between, inside and out, and all that is us. I'm Matyas, Orthodox priest, artist, philosopher, and humanist. Join me as we explore the inner and outer universes through topics that touch each and every one of us. Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about something really fun, really exciting this time. This one I would like to call our celestial siblings. Now, attached to the recent U.S. economic relief bill in January was a demand by lawmakers to the U.S. intelligence apparatus to release all information related to extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, NASA awarded $1.1 million to the Center for Theological Inquiry, which is an ecumenical research institute in New Jersey. So ecumenical meaning those that are, cross or pan-religious. So ecumenical could be between Christianity would be the Roman Catholics and the Orthodox folks, as well as some others. And then there's the broader ecumenical, which could mean the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, the Hindus, all the faiths, frankly, the Wiccans. That would be one element of ecumenical research. But at any rate, so NASA awarded that money to the Ecumenical Research Institute in New Jersey to study the societal implications of astrobiology. Now, given that the Pentagon also confirmed last summer that they have vehicles that were crafted off of the planet Earth, so the Pentagon has confirmed it. The Navy has confirmed it, as well as the Air Force. They've said it. And I've had myself two parishioners approach me as to what this means for us. So my reply was that some people say that since the Bible doesn't mention life on other planets, it has nothing to say about the discovery of intelligent aliens. Now, the Bible is the book for people on Earth that instructs us on our relationship first with God directly, and now with Jesus and the new teachings of love and unconditional acceptance. Well, we're commanded to love all without judgment. Another thing is that the Bible also doesn't mention Saturn's rings, galaxies, or DNA, yet Christians see these as God's creation. We're privileged to know the basics of God's creation, but not the sum total of it. Not the sum total of it, especially what was beyond our reach millennia ago when our ability to understand the world was so fresh. Now, as a separate concept, our intelligence must grow into maturity, and so we've been provided the gift of expanding knowledge. That is a gift of grace from God that has been bestowed on us, is that we do have expanding knowledge, that we know that, that there's not necessarily demonic activity that's creating our sickness. That it's viruses, it's bacteria, sometimes it's our own lifestyle. You drink too much, you do drugs and all these other things, and then you corrupt your body that way. And it comes out in terms of illness. Well, we do have awareness of other cosmic children would only affirm this gift. So would these children also acknowledge God? Now, that's the question you got to ask right there. And I think that that's for all of you listeners that are religious, not necessarily those that are agnostic or those that are atheistic, which are also wonderful listeners, and I appreciate you. But I have to say this, in terms of the awareness of all the cosmic children, and would these children also acknowledge God, even if they look way different from us? And they must. They must acknowledge God. No matter how advanced, the celestial realm is infinitely more advanced even than they. Remember that the Bible's claims are also cosmic in scope. Passages like Genesis 1, John 1, Colossians 1, they clearly speak of God as the creator of all things with no exception. Paul writes in Colossians 1:16, for example, for in him, them, because in my own understanding of God, God is an amorphous being that does not rely on gender. So God cannot therefore be either male or female, but must be a them. which is, asexual. God doesn't need to have sex, first of all. But anyway, for in them all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through them and for them. There is no suggestion that God is less relevant for life beyond the Roman world of Paul's day. I mean, we can conclude these passages speak not only of the earth, but of the entire cosmos, including, of course, intelligent life on earth. Now, God is the creator of all worlds and whatever life is in them. And as humans, we are no less significant. Scripture shows that God is generous. God is even extravagant, right? In creating an earth that is fruitful and producing many life forms. In the sea, in the air, and on land. I mean, everywhere on the earth there is life forms. And this can be extended to say that God has created a fruitful universe with many intelligent beings. And yet, that wouldn't diminish God's love for us, right? Because God's love is infinite. Anyone who feels love, that love comes from God. Directly from God. And anybody who would say that any love does not come from God doesn't know God. Period. Straight up. You don't know God if you say that love does not come from God. So, just as God loves each individual, God has the capacity to love each species in a special way, in a different way. Okay? People can have a personal relationship with God, directed through the different instruments that are provided to us. And so are aliens fallen? Not fallen? Are they fallen but redemptive? We're fallen. We, through what we would call the sin of Adam and Eve, we are fallen. So what's their version of that if they didn't have Adam and Eve? That's one of the principal questions that we have. But we don't know that. We don't know what occurred on another planet. We don't know, there are competing theories on where they actually might have come from. So are aliens fallen? Are they not fallen? Fallen but redemptive? Fallen with Christ's incarnation and redemption repeated on their own worlds? I personally won't discuss that in depth at this time, but if it came down to final acknowledgement of the existence of our cosmic siblings, well, we'll cross that bridge. I would love to have some other experts on the issue. I'd love to have the individual that's been appointed by Pope Francis to address this issue with aliens. Francis himself has said that acknowledge the existence, or the possibility anyway, of the existence of other aliens, or of other creatures and aliens and things like that, saying that if they do exist, they are also God's children, so we need to honor them for that. But anyway, I won't discuss that in depth. I'd love to have a one-on-one with, I'd love to have multiple guests on this show or this podcast. The acknowledgement of the existence of our cosmic siblings. So what's important is God sees us as special children with an undiminished special place in creation. I know this is a subject that a lot of people may seem as kind of way out there. But every single president that's alive right now has acknowledged that there has been work on it. The Pentagon has done it. They've acknowledged that there are craft that have been visiting the Earth that are not terrestrial in origin. They're direct statements stating that this is a reality, this is real, this is true. Barack Obama waded into the conversation, and he predicted that when the evidence, or when it's released, that it will lead to sweeping changes around our planet. And he said that it would likely result in the emergence of new religions, and that there would be calls for huge sums of money to be spent on weapons systems so we can defend ourselves from a possible attack. I have to say, if these military reports are true, and that they've been turning off all of our nuclear weapons and being able to dismantle through electromagnetic pulses or something like that, all these kinds of things, I don't think they're worried about us. at all. So they've been able to affect our ability to counter them. That means they don't have hostile intent. But he said Obama said the existence of aliens wouldn't change his own perspective on life, and he tends to be a very religious person, regardless of what you think his background is, what his religion is. That doesn't matter. But he is a person of faith, and Obama was speaking on a New York Times podcast. I think at the beginning of this year. That UFOs have been regularly spotted by U.S. military personnel. He acknowledged it, and he asked, and he was asked what he thought would happen if we could prove there were aliens probing the Earth, and we were unable to make contact with them. And he said it's interesting. He said he wouldn't change. His politics wouldn't be changed. His religion, his belief in God, would not be changed. Let me ask you this, listener. If the UN all stood up as one and they made a statement, and if you are a person of faith, and they said there are aliens, and here they are, by the way, these are their names, here are their ambassadors, and they got 5, 6, 10, 20, 200, whatever number of ambassadors of different alien species, or even if they didn't show them, but there was proof, and they stood up and they said, "Oh, this is it. This is a fact. You got to deal with it." What would that change in your mind? Would it? Would your politics be different? Would you cease to believe in God? I challenge you, listener. If you're a person of faith, if you're a person that's very political, would that change who you are as a person and what you think is important? Would you create an us versus them mentality in your own mind, in your heart, in your soul? This is Soul Trek. This is the podcast. We ask these questions. Is this what you would do? Would you decide that it's an us versus them? Would you, let me propose this to you, would you then, if you are a racist individual, without realizing it consciously, unconsciously, it doesn't matter, suddenly decide, oh, that person's skin color, that person's religion doesn't matter, because now it's us versus them? What would that do to you? How would that change you? I think I'll leave you with that question. Like I said in this podcast, this is what it's all about. We delve into the realm of questions and serious conversation. It's not just religious. It's not just intellectual. It's not just spiritual. It's all the above. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for your time, and let's remember our shared humanity yesterday, today, forever and always.